Italian lifestyle, Italian design, Italian culture in London. This is The Italian Factor, and I am Gabriella, your host, joining you in this journey of Made in Italy.
Italian style.
Quite fashionable.
Very chic.
Buongiorno. Italian people as being quite friendly, quite outgoing.
They have a slower pace of life.
Grazie, tutto bene.
It is an amazing country.
I think Italian food is really easy on the palate.
Italians are definitely beautiful, oh for sure.
Bruno Munari, an important Italian designer, once said, "Creativity, everything that wasn't there before, but can be created in a basic and global way." To talk about creativity and Italian design, I call Nigel Coates, designer, architect and professor emeritus of architecture and design at the Royal College of Art. Nigel, welcome. Tell us about your passion for design, how it started and how it's grown.
Well, when I was very young, perhaps 5 years old, I had this click that I wanted to be an architect. I made models of buildings with my father out of cardboard, and we had a great time doing that. And it wasn't until much later, until I was studying architecture, that I realized that spaces are not the whole story, that the objects in them were just as important as the spaces. So I guess it was part of the thinking of the time to take a very broad sweep at what architecture could be.
What is your style? What is the philosophy behind your creations?
I like objects which are sensual, objects which have a sense of humor, objects which touch you perhaps in a particular way, a way that you can't necessarily analyze.
Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but we live in a world where everything is design. What exactly is design? Don't make the same mistake that my girlfriend's designer friend always tells me off for. Design isn't just drawing something, but planning a complex object, then creating that project, be it material or conceptual. Let's see if you've understood. Can you design a chair? Certainly. Can you design a city? Yes. Could you design a community of people? Yes, you could do that also. In the field of industrial design, needless to say, Italians are recognised to be amongst some of the most influential in the world. Why? It is thought that the Italian architects and designers Achille Castiglione, Pier Giacomo Castiglione and Luigi Caccia once said, "Quite simply, we Italians are the best because we have more imagination, more culture, and are better mediators between the past and the future." Italians certainly don't stand out because of their modesty. Hey! No, don't take it personally. You're good at other things. Creativity, for example. The creativity of Italian designers is very fertile. There are thousands of examples. The iconic Zanotta beanbag, the letter 22 of the Olivetti exhibited at the MoMA, and then the Vespa of the Corradino di Scanio, the Fiat Cinquecento of Dante Giacosa, the Bialetti coffee maker, the Ford logo designed by Massimo Vignelli, and the fruit holder of Achille Castiglione for Alessi, just to name a few. Have I convinced you yet? A typical feature of the Italian landscape are their so-called factories of design.
This kind of companies which step by step, decade after decade, became the best partners for the best designer from all around the world. There must be a reason why even today you are looking for the best French design, you need very frequently to go to the catalogs of an Italian design factory.
If you had to summarise the principles of design in a few sentences, what would you say? You might quote the late great Steve Jobs, who said, "Design is not just what it looks like and feels like, design is how it works."
The history of design is very complex and any type of simplification is somehow limited. But just to get a better grasp of the situation, if we had to imagine the history of design and its main phases, what would they be?
Well, I suppose in England it sort of starts with the arts and crafts movement with William Morris and the people who founded the Victoria and Albert Museum, moved on to Liberty's, the famous store in London, which gave the name to Art Nouveau in other parts of Europe. the people who made those things were real designers, because they thought about how things were made, what materials they'd be made of, which artisans or manufacturing processes could help realize them, and how they could reach a market, a user.
And what about Italy?
Italy, there's an instinctive understanding of design and how to live with it.
Good morning.
Hi there, how you doing?
I'm very well, how are you?
Yes, very good, thank you. Very good indeed.
Can I help you?
I've just been told by my girlfriend that my plans have got to change, and we're actually going to a party together tonight to one of her friends' houses. And her friend's a designer,
Yes.
and she wants me to pick up a present for her friend.
We do this corkscrew, which is always a great present for people.
Right.
This is designed by a very famous Italian architect, a man called Alessandro Mandini.
Okay.
And she is called Anna. She comes in 4 different colours. She is, believe it or not, just over 20 years old, but she's a real...
Anna's 20 years old?
She's 20 years old.
Right, and why Anna?
After an Italian designer, a girl called Anna Gilli, who at the time was wearing a page boy haircut, so she actually really does look like Anna G.
Oh, wow.
And she's become a really, really iconic product of ours. This is called Juicy Salif.
Wow.
It is
looks like a spaceship.
It does look like a spaceship. It's one of our most, in fact, it's probably our most famous design. It's designed by a French designer, Philippe Starck.
Right.
This is also now over 25 years old. What you do is you put it on the table and you would put a cup underneath, and you take your lemon or orange and you turn it around. Then we can go on to another real classic of ours. This is our most famous kettle.
Okay.
It unfortunately only has a number. It's called 1993, and it's designed by an American architect called Michael Graves. He made the original with the blue handle and with the red bird, and it's because subliminally blue is cool, so you know you can touch it, and red is hot, so you couldn't.
Okay, nothing to do with West Ham.
On the theme of tea and coffee,
yeah.
This is a new product of ours. It's only been out just over a year. And
again, very spaceshipy.
Very spaceshipy. It looks sort of like a 1960s robot in some ways.
Yeah.
It's actually called Pulcina, and it's by an Italian architect, a man called Michele De Lucchi. Okay. Mr. De Lucchi is in his 80s and a real classic Italian architect. He was a member of a design group in Milan in the 1980s called Memphis. My last suggestion for you is this vase. It's designed by the great architect Zaha Hadid, who unfortunately died earlier this year. You can buy them singly or as a pair, and they're just fantastic. It comes from a part of our range that we do, which is called officina. Yeah. And officina is just an Italian word. It just means office, but it's a part of our factory where things which are slightly more complicated are made. They're made individually. And each piece of officina is actually individually numbered on the underneath.
I can't make the decision. I'm going to have to photograph this, send it to my girlfriend and give her a call and let her decide, because I'm only going to get it wrong.
You'll get it
if
wrong,
I do it.
and then you'll be in trouble.
You don't mind if I
no, absolutely.
Take a photo and then give her a
picture.
call, is that okay?
Fine.
And then wait until she
When you're ready,
responds.
I'm over there for you.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you very
Pleasure.
much.
Those who really know design believe that it is, by definition, storytelling. For those that don't know much, this explanation sounds interesting. In what way is design storytelling?
Well, I don't think an object will necessarily tell a whole story. So I think in design is about triggering associations. For example, if you have a Moroccan stool in front of you, and you know that that stool comes from Morocco because you can see that it makes you think of that other place. And in a sense, it's making a little narrative shift by associating that object with that faraway place. And if you're a designer, you can play with that sort of association and make all sorts of allusions to other places and people and feelings and even classic stories.
What is the story told by Alessi?
Well, Alessi has a very important role in the whole development of design because, as far as I know, it was the first company that wanted to associate actual designers to the object and name them. It was thought perhaps that you could add value and identity to the object.
Design is all about storytelling. If you own a designed object, it can help define who you are. Say, owning like an Alessi corkscrew or a juicer can say a lot about your lifestyle. Francis, what sort of people shop here in Alessi?
To be quite honest, we have people of all walks of lives and all ages. We have people in their 60s and 70s and maybe even older who have lived around design classics all of their lives. And then we have lots of people who are much younger, maybe down to even 9 or 10 years old, who have studied Alessi at school in a curriculum and then come here to see something in real life, and then they want to go away with a piece of Alessi.
And what would you say that a customer, Alessi says about a customer, about them as a person and also about their homes?
There's something very important that they are very, very conscious of how products look that come into their home. As I said, the most important thing is that it does what it's supposed to do, but then if it looks beautiful and is beautifully made, which our products are, is an added bonus.
Thank you so much for chatting to me, Francis, and educating me on Alessi. It's been brilliant.
Absolute pleasure. And did you find out what your girlfriend wanted?
Yes, I did actually. She did reply to my message. She wants me to take it all.
That's fine.
Yeah, everything.
Describe Italian design and style.
Warm, sleek, simplicity,
smooth,
High quality.
stylish, elegant, chic,
Fashionable
traditional,
Suave.
trendy,
and stylish.
Innovative.
luxury,
Elegance.
Unique.
Glamorous and dark and chic.
There is a lot of confusion about design. For example, a lot of people think that an object of design has to be modern, strange, fashionable. I think that's not actually correct, or at least a limited view. What do you think about it?
Well, as I mentioned, you know, the Richard Sapper espresso machine is a classic, and it's as relevant now as it was at the time it was invented. And I have 4 or 5 of them in different sizes and in different places where I go. And well, to extend that question, the allusion to a past is just as important as kind of reaching forward for the future. And modern is a difficult term anyway, because modern often gets mixed up with modernist, meaning pared down and simple. But perhaps design can be effusive and complex and create questions and ask questions of the user as to how they should be used. So all of that is embraced in many of the Alessi products.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Strictly Come Testing Alessi edition. I'm going to be asking Londoners if they can guess the proper function of some of Alessi's weirdest designs. Sounds easy, but believe me, it's not. Come with me. Look at this. What is it used for?
This feels like something you could kill somebody with.
I don't know, maybe like to do some holes.
A paperweight.
Designed by Gabriella Chiavi, it's called Apostrophe, and it's an orange peeler. Peels off that easily. And it's such a beautiful object that if I'd seen this for sale in a shop, I'd have bought this as an earring for my girlfriend. She would have loved it too. In your opinion, what is this?
Maybe like you put it on the wall and then put something in it.
Do you like attach it to a wall or something to put something in?
Looks like a transformed Mickey Mouse.
I don't know, like a napkin holder or something.
Now, this may look like a cross between a knuckle duster and a piece of ladies' jewellery, but it's actually an instrument used for measuring the amounts of spaghetti. It's called a voile, and it was designed by Paolo Gerosa, and each ring corresponds to the amount of spaghetti you need for 1, 2, and 5 people. And there you go, the perfect amount.
I read that a designer is also a visionary who creates imaginary worlds. Could you explain this to us?
I see design as a part of that, as an element within it. So I guess when I'm imagining a big space, sometimes a vision for a particular object comes up with that bigger idea. So it's a sort of, it's a piece which emerges from some larger scenario.
What is the imaginary creation of Alessi?
Well, Alessi's going in different directions. Some of the pieces are very still related to the kitchen, very kind of clean and simple, but others are becoming madder and madder.
My grandfather Giovanni Alessi was the man who started the Alessi company in this very place in 1921. The dream of my grandfather was to try to produce, to manufacture the best possible quality household of his times. Milestones are my father Carlo, who was the designer of many of the Alessi products in the 30s and 40s, and then after the World War opened the company to the collaboration with outside independent designers and architects. The company mission of Alessi is today to produce the best quality and best functionality object for everyday life of people, trying to bring a little bit of joy and happiness to a lot of people. In our history, we have worked with around 300 designers and architects from all over the world. what they are trying to bring into our production is a little bit of transcendency, meaning something that is a bit more than only function. I guess the Italian factor of Alessi is precisely this ability to deal with the best designers from all over the world, but keeping the naturality and the originality of their work. I mean, we do not express just an industrial kind of quality. We express something more, which is a kind of art and poetry brought into industrial production.
And what is like to be a professional designer?
It's hard to put your work to bed at night. My head goes on working
all night?
All night, and sometimes dreams provide ideas for designs. Or the greatest pleasure for me is being able to combine the world as I see it, as I experience it, and somehow gather up some of those experiences and convert them into design objects.
The vision of the Italian design company is that we put design at the very top of our activity, meaning that we believe to be a kind of mediator between, on one side, the best expression of creativity in product design from all over the world, and on the other side, we mediate this creativity in order to meet final customers' dreams. The research in Alessi means essentially to work at a few hundreds designers' projects every year. We select these few hundreds, and at the end we come out presenting 50 to 60 new projects every year, divided into collections. One of the purposes of the activity of a company like Alessi is to try to present every year a kind of design which is a good expression of the feeling, of the spirit of the times. This time I thought that the right moment was for the Dutch designer Marcel Wanders with his very humorous creativity, so we did develop a complete collection called the Circus. Alessi Circus is actually a collection divided in two parts. The first part is, we may say, the more industrial collection, which is made of trays, bowls, buckets, wine buckets, in stainless steel with a very special kind of decoration. The other part of the collection is a group of 5, I may say, household sculptures which are produced in a limited edition of 999 pieces and which are characterized, apart the expressivity that one may note, for being moving objects. That's a corkscrew, the jester, this is the bell ring, or the nutcracker. The construction of this object was at the end extremely complex. Some of them, they are made of more than 30 different parts. It means that this kind of project is very typical of a company like Alessi, being something in between from an industrial product, but also with a very artisanal manufacturing.
Nigel, we are coming to the end of the episode, but before we say goodbye, we usually carry out a little test to see how Italian our guests are. Do you feel Italian?
A bit.
If you're ready, we'll begin. Repeat this tongue twister after me. O postino.
O postino.
Che porti la posta.
Che porti la posta.
Dimmi postino.
Dimmi postino.
Che posta portasti?
Che posta portasti?
Very good. But now I have to translate it, otherwise our friends, they won't understand. Oh dear postman, that delivers the post. Tell me, postman, what post have you delivered? Is it correct?
Perfetto.
And it's because the verbs to deliver and the word post have the same sound and they are written in the same way. Thank you, Nigel. And one last thing. Generally speaking, what do you think the Italian factor is?
They're professional, they're curious, They want to make exquisite things, and they're full of courage.
Thank you so much, Nigel. And as for us, there is still lots of Made in Italy to discover. And remember, if you don't know what makes something special, it's the Italian factor. See you soon. Ciao.
O postino che porti la posta, dimmi postino che posta portasti. Now it's your turn.
O postino che porti la posta.
O postino ci porti la posta.
O postino che porti la posta.
O postino ci porti la posta.
Dimmi postino che posta porta.
Dimmi postino.
Ci posta portasti.
Dimmi postino che posta portasti.
Dimmi postino che posta portasti.
Dimmi postino ci posta portasti.
Dimmi postino che posta
Portasi.